for a book on wiring. And that is my education in wiring the farm, and there wasn't a mistake on the whole thing. So that is I was kind of proud of that. Donald was confirmed the 1st of January of 42, and so was Patsy. And Elmer and I, we hunted deer again in the fall. The deer ate up about a third of my hay again this year, 48. Boy, that took a long time to get that stuff straightened out so that you could, we'd get so that the cattle were the only ones that were getting a cut out of the hay that I was putting up. During the winter, I hauled Patsy and Donald up to Ivor Dolls, that's up there where Cleo is now, to read for the minister. We would count up to 85 deer north of the buildings, north of our buildings then, you see. So there was a heck of a lot of this. We'd go up there once a week, and you know, that get to be quite a few deer when they get that close to the place, and that's up there where my hay was too. And I built a straw shed out of logs from the old house that I bought on the old Gunderson quarter. I used the framework. It is an old log house, and I used the logs then for uprights and put netting on them and hauled flax straw on them. Of course, that straw shed leaked like a sieve, but at the same time, in the wintertime, it protected the cattle and the sheep from storms and what have you. Then in 1948, I bought an R Minneapolis tractor, a two-bottom, on rubber. That was quite a situation. Well, there was rubber prior to that too, but that was my first experience of having a rubber-tired tractor. And it is real interesting to get on a new tractor. I had that experience of buying a brand new tractor. They hauled it. No, they didn't haul it out. I drove it out, I guess, in the spring. So that is a very interesting deal. That same spring, I helped Kenneth move his cattle from down by the bridge over to the barn, and he had that is the part that didn't flood as soon as the rest of it, but we chased him along the highway, or along the road there west of the barn, and well, he had newborn calves, and those doggone calves were able to follow their mother through without any problems at all to a heavy stream. The river was real high and going over the road. In 1949, we had a real bad flood again, and we didn't know in 48 that the slough between the house and barn had filled up with fish. So when this next 49 flood came along, the ice come up and it settled down on about 5 acres of land down below the house. And my gosh, when the ice thawed away, why the ground was just solid covered with dead fish. Well, we had one heck of a time. I said to me, we'll have to move out. There was no way we could pick up all those fish. There was truckloads of fish there. And we didn't, I never anticipated anything to happen to it. But we'd made plans. In a day or so, they started to stink already. And we'd made plans to move out and stay moved out until this stuff had deteriorated. And I was out working on the tractor on some sawhorses. So I was cleaning some parts of the F-12, and I noticed there was seagulls coming in from the southwest, quite a few of them. And my gosh, in an hour or two, the whole area was covered with seagulls. And they took care of the fish in about 6 hours, I suppose, 7 hours. They had all those fish ate up. Unbelievable. They were in there just as solid as they could stand. And the only thing I can figure out is that we had a northeast wind, or that they came in, they could smell the dead fish and they came in. I suppose this odor went for miles to the southwest. And when they hit this odor, they just turned onto it and homered right into the bunch of dead fish that we had on the place. I was real happy about it. Then in the spring, about in March or something, we signed up for a displaced family. I didn't want to sign it. Ordinarily, it is set up in such a way around this part of the country anyway. They'd sign up for one immigrant, whether it was a woman or a man. They could, and this is what I was used to, what I thought should be done. So May and I, we decided that we were going to sign up for a displaced family, or a displaced person. And I was arguing that we should only have one, and May said, everybody signs up for one, and why don't we sign up for a family? Well, I wasn't so doggone sure that we could afford having a family around. We were hard up and didn't have any money. But I consented to it. And finally we signed up for the family in March. And we were supposed to have them in May. Well, they never showed up in May, and they didn't show up throughout the entire summer. So then it got to be winter, and I was real worried that we'd have to finance a family in the winter time. Our house was small, and it'd be kind of hard with 8 kids in the house, and we found out that there's 5 of these displaced families, or the displaced family with 3 kids coming too. So I was kind of concerned about it, but the next day we waited then until 1950. They didn't show up until in 1950. The name of the people were Berzgalis, Carlos, Hilda, and Inta, and Legeda, and Maris. Their names, the men were I.S., and the girls were ended with A. That is an experience all of its own too. In the spring then of 1950, my dad and I installed a sewer system on the farm, and we had Carlos help us install this thing. He was supervising the digging of the trench, which is only 18 inches below the ground. That's something new too, that isn't being done around here too often, but that is the depth of our sewer line. And it worked all winter. We didn't have no problem with it. Elmer and I, we went to our usual hunting, fishing and trapping. We got a deer piece. Now, in the spring of 50, it was a really bad flood to get. So we didn't have any problem with dead fish laying around anyway that year. Sharon was born September 11th of 1951 on a Tuesday. She was baptized December 8th of 1951. Was baptized at Sharon, the hospital at Sharon. Ray came, this is in 51, Ray came up to the farm with a Civil Air Patrol plane and a Ronca 65 horsepower with a 65 horsepower engine. I got about 5 hours of flying with him. Then I joined the Civil Air Patrol in 1951. 1952, we had a lot of snow in the winter, and we could not get off the farm for several months. We got snowbound in deer hunting, which is about the 1st of November, and we didn't get to use the automobile until out into the last part of March. My gosh, there was so much snow that Clarence Edlin and Mervyn Eskelson came up through the farm with an M tractor, International M, with a wide front. Mervyn was standing on the drawbar, and Clarence, it was his tractor. They had chains on it, and they had to shovel it. They got stuck, so they had to shovel it out. So we had just a terrific amount of snow in the winter of 1952. Before we were able to even get out with the car, why, Ray came up from Fargo with this Civil Air Patrol plane, and we were flying all over the country up there, enjoying ourselves. When we wanted to get the water out of the water fountain, there was ice in it, so that you couldn't even get any ice. The music. But that was kind of something different than what we do nowadays too. Well, I got another certificate of award for not being tardy, absent or tardy, dated the February 6th of 1920. And in 1920, Willie and Bex traded their Model T for a Maxwell, which didn't prove out to be as good a car as the Model T because the axles didn't stand up in them, and the transmission didn't stand up.